Yeah, very good morning all. And in the last class, I delivered about the basic introduction of the compilers and why should we study the compilers and the objective of the compiler and what the outcomes that the student can get an ability after learning the course. And here in today class, I'm going to deliver about lecture number 1 where it comes under unit number 1. The first concept is about an introduction to language processors. Introduction to language processors. And these are the outlines that I'm going to deliver in today class. The first thing is why the compilers and programming language classification and the history of the compilers and compilers and the definition of the compiler and the definition of the interpreter with an neat structure and compilers versus interpreters, and then finally about the concept of that is language processing phases that we're going to learn in this class. See the first outline, that is why compilers are. Before knowing about why compilers, here we have to know something about the computers. We all know, we are all very much familiar with the computers, and we all know what the basic definition of the computer is also. And here the computers are a balanced mix of software and hardware. We all know what is the software and what is an hardware. These computers are a balanced mix of both the hardware and the software. And here hardware is just a piece of mechanical device. We all know what we call what we are calling as an hardwares and what we are calling as an softwares. And here while defining the hardware is just a piece of mechanical device and its functions are being controlled by an compatible software. All the whatever the functions that we're going to implement, all those are all controlled by an compatible software. And here the hardware understands the instructions, whatever the instructions that we are going to do, all those are all understandable by the hardware in the form of some electronic charge, and which is a counterpart of our binary language in software programming. You all know the binary language. I think so you all know the binary language. Binary language is having only two alphabets. One is 0 and one is 1. 0 and 1 are the two alphabets, and with the zeros and ones we are having the binary language. And here we are having four reasons why the compilers are. The first one is if you design the compilers, or if you choose any types of an compilers, or if you choose any types of an construction tools of the compilers, the first one is we can increase the productivity of the code, increase the productivity of the compilation code. And the next one, the next reason why the compilers is here, low level programming languages are very harder to write and those are very less portable, and sometimes they will give complex errors. So and these are all harder to maintain, very hard to maintain all these things. And while coming to the performance wise, performance always the performance and the efficiency always to be increased, but when you use the low level programming language, the performance will be decreasing. So very harder to maintain this. That is another reason why we are choosing the compilers are. And the next reason is hardware synthesis. See here we're having uh, some languages like some different languages here we're preferring, and we are implementing some different languages. Some languages like Verilog is one type of an high level language, and VHDL. Here by using the VHDL we are describing the high level hardware description language. First, before giving the input and how the internal functionality is going to be done in the compilers, we are showing with the structure. First initially the register transfer language, and then it goes to the gates, and then it goes to the transistors, and then finally we are getting the physical output. This is the data flow of the compilation process. And the next reason is reverse engineering process where executable applications, that means whatever we are executing with .exe files, those we are calling them as an executable applications. And here we're performing some reverse engineering in the compilers, and reverse engineering in the sense and runtime with an binary language with zeros and ones, and then it converts into the assembly code, and finally we are getting the output in the form of an high level language. And these are the reasons of why compilers are. First reason is the most important reason: to increase the productivity of the compilation code, we are choosing the compilers. What type of an compilers we are choosing, that depends on the implementation of the code. Make a note that depends on implementation of the code, we are choosing the types of the compilers. And these are the reasons we are having. See, as I already said that binary language has only two alphabets, that is 0 and 1. See here, the code is structured with zeros and ones. Is the humans or the users understand this code, or you are easily understand this code? It is very difficult to understand what the zeros and ones are. So understanding of binary language is very much hurtful thing. So what does that mean is, binary language has two alphabets, that is zeros and ones. To instruct the hardware codes must be written in binary format. Which is very simply a series of zeros and ones. So see here, we're seeing the series of zeros and ones, just like that. It would be a difficult and cumbersome task for computer programmers to write such types of codes. So for that reason, here we're having a question that if understanding the binary language is hard, then what does that mean? What does that mean is, which is why we have compilers to write such codes. So these are the different types of programming languages that are to be classified in a level wise. And the first level is a low level language, where the low level language consisting of another two types of languages, like an assembly language and an machine level language. We all know how the assembly language is and how the machine level language is. All these consisting of with the instructions machine level language. And the next level is an high level language, and we are all very much familiar with these high level languages like C, C++, Java, Pascal, Prolog, Scheme, and so on and so on. All these are all comes under an high level languages. And the next level language is a natural language, what we are going to speaking, what type of a language that we are going to speaking, and what the human can understand. What type of a language that a human can understand is an English. And here there is also a classification by programming language generations. And the levels of classification of programming languages: the first level is a low level, the second level is a high level, and the third level is a natural level language. See, this is an history of the compilers, and all of you read down the years and read down the types of compilers here, in which types of compilers that we are using. History of the compilers. When the first complete compiler is in, and what type of an software we're having here. Softwares in the sense that we are also calling them as an tools. And these we are defining with an terminology like an compiler tools. This is an history of the compilers. And now coming to the in detailed learning about unit number 1, by starting with the definition of the compiler. What is an compiler? We all know compiler is a translator. Basically, compiler is a translator, as I already explained in the last class. And here, what type of the code that the compiler is going to be translate? See here, we're having the compiler translates the code written in one language to some other language without changing the meaning of the code. Make a note that without changing the meaning of the code, the compilers should translate from one language to the another language. Whatever the code that is going to be written, that code is translate from one language to the another language. See here, directly we are not translating from high level to the machine level. In between, we are having an low level language. That means now I am taking input in the form of an high level language. My input program is an high level language input program. Now I am going to execute in an machine level language. But while using the compilers, by using the compilers, what I am doing, how the translation process is going to be done is translating from high to low. Low in the sense it may be an assembly level language or it may be an machine level language, because the low level language consisting of two types of languages. One is an assembly and another one is an machine level language. Here we're not directly translating from high level to machine level. In between we're having an assembly level language. First we're translating from high level to assembly, and then that assembly to the machine level code. So this is the process of translating the compilers. Compiler translation process is in such a way that translating from one language to the another language. And it is also expected that a compiler should make a target code, efficient target code, which should be an optimized target code. Why we are making a note that it should be an optimized means optimization is nothing but the improving the efficiency of the code. How we are going to improve the code? Just by minimizing the lines of the code without changing the meaning of the code. And how it is going to be performed means where there itself we're applying some techniques and we're performing that. But here we need to consider two points. One is time and another one is in space. In terms of time and space, we need to generate the target code efficiently and in an optimized manner. Without changing the meaning of the code. Time and space are the two constraints that we have to consider here. And make time consumption plays a most important role. Space consumption plays a most important role while we are executing the code. And the another one is that compiler designs the basic translation mechanism and error detection and recovery. There itself we are before executing the program, when we are doing the compilation, there itself we can detect the error and we can rectify those recovery those errors, and then again we can run the program. And here we're having different types of compilers, like where these are all comes under the high level language programming, high level language programs: Fortran, Ada, C, C++, COBOL, and so on and so on. All these are all comes under the softwares of the compilers, compiler softwares, or we can call it as an compiler tools. See here we're having a structure for the compilers. First, initially we are giving the source program. Source program is nothing but an input program. Input program is nothing but an algebraic expression. Whatever the input code that we are giving, whatever the input that we need to execute, giving an input and making it into an executable code. And source program is nothing but an input program. Here we're giving the source to the compilers, and after doing the compilation process, after performing the compilation process, there itself we're getting some errors and warnings, and after rectifying those errors and warnings, then we are going to execute the program. And how we're going to do the executable program, how we're going to implement the executable program, how we're going to implement in the sense how we're running the program runtime program, we are calling it as an run. How we're going to run the program is by giving the input data, and then after running the program, then we'll get an executable program in the form of an output, where it is an human understandable output that we're calling is an target program. Source and target, these are the two most important terminologies we are using here. One is an source. Source is nothing but an input, and another one is an target. Target is nothing but an output. In between the process of compilation by using the compilers. Whatever we are doing the process of compilation by using different types of the compiler tools. And this is the basic definition of the compilers. and the structure of the compiler. See, the next one, the next most important translator, compiler is basically a translator, as well as interpreter is also basically a translator. These two comes under the family of the translators family. But what is the difference between these two? See the structures of the compiler and the interpreters, then you can easily understand how the process of compilation is going to be done and how the process of interpretation is going to be done. And here interpreter is also a type of a language processor. Here we're directly executing the operations specified in the source program. What it means is, see in the compiler, giving an input to the compilers. After performing the compilation and after knowing the errors, after rectifying the errors, then we are going to the next path, that is an executable program, by giving the input there itself. Input there at the executable program, and then finally we are getting the output. But see here, see the structure here. Here source program, whatever the input program, whatever the input data, that at a time we are giving directly to the interpreter. Direct execution of the program. This directly we are executing by performing some operations, and finally we are getting the output. Finally we are getting the output in the form of a target. And when we are interpreting the program, when we are interpreting the data compilation code, there itself we are getting the errors and warnings here, and we have to rectify those, and then finally we can get the output. And here we're having the examples of the interpreters like in Python, Perl, Basic, Ruby, AWK. All these are all the examples of interpreters. Interpreter is also an translator. Here we're directly translating the input and processing it by performing some operations and finally getting an output. Here, this is the most important question. Differentiate between compiler and the interpreter, and compilers versus interpreters. Compilers versus interpreters. See here we're having 7 comparisons between the compiler and the interpreter. The first differentiation between the compiler and the interpreter is differentiating with the definition of what the compiler is and what the interpreter is. Definition of what the compiler is and what the interpreter is. See here, compiling in the compilers takes entire program as an input, but while coming to the interpreter, single lines of code, every line is going to be execute. Every line is going to be execute. Here the overall program is going to be executed at a time, but here line by line the program execution is going to be done in an interpreter. And here in compilers we are going to generate the intermediate code in the form of an 3 address code format, but while coming to the interpreter we are not going to generate any type of an intermediate code. And here whatever the instructions or whatever the statements, control statements or conditional statements, whatever we are going to use in compilation, all are going to be executed in a faster manner, while coming to the interpreter those are all going to execute in a slower manner. And while coming to the memory requirement, memory in the sense space requirement, as I already told that time and space are the two most important constants we have to consider here. And while coming to the compilers, the memory requirement is more. Why? Because there we are going to generate an object code where it is in the form of a machine level language. And while coming to the interpreter, memory requirement is very much less. And every time the program need to compile. But while coming to the interpreter, once every time higher level program is converted into a lower level programming. And at each and every phase the errors are going to be displayed after entire program is checked. And while coming to the interpreters, errors are displayed by every instruction in the sense every line by line code. For example, my program consisting of 20 lines, and for the 20 lines, for every instruction of those 20 lines of code, I'm interpreting the errors. Interpreting the errors, if any in the both conditions of both the compiler and the interpreter. And finally, the examples of the compiler